I'd be lying if I said that I was in law for everything else but the money, if that makes sense. Hello, it's your girl Simranjeet Mann here, and today we're going to be talking about why I wanted to be a lawyer, specifically a solicitor in the UK. This video idea was actually recommended to me by Rach, my good friend Rach there, who's a trusted subscriber. Thank you so much for your suggestion. For those of you who want to suggest my content, have any video ideas, feel free to definitely comment that or DM me. I'm really open to suggestions, and who knows, you may even get a cheeky shout out as well. In this video, I'm going to go over the experiences that led me to pursuing this career, and also answering some questions that I've had in the past relating to, for example, did I go into law for the money, or all of those kind of things. But before I start, I want to talk a little bit about the student lawyer, and I want to talk about their mentoring scheme and their amazing podcast. So what is the student lawyer first of all? Well, it's a website which I've linked in the video description below. It's created by students for students, for those people who are interested in the legal profession. The website contains a range of legal and commercial articles that are written by graduates and students. Podcasts are released really regularly, with the student lawyer released every single week, so it's consistent content. And the guests on these podcasts come from a range of different backgrounds, all related to the legal career. Guests can include barristers, solicitors, trainee solicitors, pupils, grad recruitment from all different types of firms, legal tech, as well as lecturers, in-house lawyers, commercial awareness finalists. So many different range of guests for you to learn from. And also the range of topics is quite broad as well, from topics like improving your confidence, hint hint, that might have me in it perhaps. There's also episodes on commercial awareness, improving your grades, and applying for scholarships. That's a topic that I don't know enough about, so I'm definitely going to try and listen to a podcast episode about that specifically. Also, you can find their podcasts on loads of different platforms, namely iTunes, which I personally haven't used in ages since I had like an iPod Classic. That's crazy. Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also via the link in my video description below. Student Lawyer are actually smashing it right now because they've also got a weekly newsletter that you can subscribe to, so you can keep updated on the latest developments, the latest commercial awareness or legal articles that have been put out, the latest podcast episodes, and a little bit excitingly, which I'm going to go and talk about now, is their mentorship scheme. Now, I am asked really often from my LinkedIn DMs, Instagram DMs, I think I'm asked about once a week, do you mentor? And in the past I did, but due to time constraints, I'm no longer able to do that. But there are loads of schemes out there for mentoring, and the student lawyer is one where the cycle is open now and the application window closes in the end of July. So what's the objective behind the student lawyer and in creating this mentorship scheme? So essentially the objective here is to level the playing field and to allow people from all different backgrounds, all types of experiences, to be matched to a mentor who they can then learn from. This isn't solely limited to solicitors. You can also be matched with a barrister if you're interested in going down that route as well. What's different about the student lawyer mentorship scheme? So the student lawyer is not only focusing on commercial law. You can be matched with a mentor with lawyers who practice in criminal law or family law, and I think that's really important. I think there is a lot of content and a lot of support provided to those in commercial law, whereas other areas, in my opinion, are somewhat lacking in support. And that's what's so important about this mentorship scheme in terms of providing and catering to everyone's future aspirations. Another key thing that I've mentioned is that this mentorship scheme also helps aspiring barristers. Now, as someone who is in the solicitors kind of line of field, I hear a lot about the different schemes that are available to solicitors, but not as much that are available to barristers. And I think what's really great about this scheme is, again, that it's available for both aspiring solicitors and aspiring barristers. Furthermore, there is no tick box criteria when it comes to eligibility requirements here. All you have to do is either show that you come from an underrepresented background in the legal industry, or you can show that you have faced adversity or you faced barriers in your life or in your career. So So for example, if you miss out on the criteria for other mentorship schemes that are available, this one may be the perfect one for you. So successful applicants will receive a personal mentor. This mentor works in your area of interest over the course of the year. Free one-to-one advice and coaching from this mentor. And this can include, for example, helping to choose which firm or chambers to go with, fine-tuning your CV, going over interview preparation, or to build your network. Invitations to exclusive The Student Lawyer events, networking events, skills workshops, and panel discussions. So as I've mentioned, the applications close for this mentorship scheme at the end of July, specifically 31st of July 2021. So definitely do get your applications in ASAP. You can find the link to apply to the mentorship scheme in the description below. Right, let's get back to the video. So honestly, I don't think a lot of people may or may not know this. My first encounter with the law and the role of a lawyer, of course, was from a glamorized aspect, was actually in a Bollywood movie. I was watching a movie where a famous actor in Bollywood was in court. He was a barrister. And of course, it was a very different depiction of how court was like. Both the barristers were shouting over each other. The witnesses were in tears. The judge was just this old kind of man banging his gavel like, order, order in the court, that kind of thing. And yeah, it was a huge glamorization of what the law is actually like. And I don't think barristers act like that in person. I mean, I hope not. I don't think they do, but... And what I loved about it was the fact that this guy was so passionate about fighting the case for his client, and he just appeared to have it all together. He had that kind of status, he had that confidence about him, that air of, I'm going to win this case. And I really liked that. It made me feel like, wow, this is so cool. This would give me a sense of fulfillment. So that was my first experience with, the first time I'd actually thought, maybe I could do a career in law perhaps. And this was around when I was 11 or 12. But I'm not saying that you should be set on the law when you are so young. That's definitely not the case at all. And you'll hear from my experiences that my view of the law definitely changed as I went along. The next reason for wanting to pursue a career in law was through the subjects that I studied at school. So I studied English literature and history throughout, even during my A-levels. I really enjoyed those subjects. And the main reason why is because you are faced with certain facts or, pieces of history or pieces of literature, and you are expected to write about it, answer a question about it, solve problems using the information that's available to you. And that's quite similar to how the law operates as well. I attended law taster days at both Oxford and Cambridge, where we were given certain cases. For example, I think one was about euthanasia, and it involved human rights law, and it was just super interesting when you read about this case law and you just think about the effects that it has on day-to-day life, and that's what I became really interested in. So before university, I thought that I wanted to be a solicitor because I was interested in the law. When I was at university, that changed. I actually didn't really enjoy learning about the law as much until my final year, when I started doing subjects like company law, medical law, when I started writing my disso. I think it was the more practical subjects, which weren't so heavy on statutes and case law. It was those areas of law that I ended up enjoying the most. But when I was at university, I actually started considering other career options, because I just didn't feel personally engaged with studying law. And I guess that might sound really strange hearing that, you're literally a lawyer, why are you not engaged in learning about the law? But that's honestly how I felt. So what I did was I did internships in other places. I did an internship at EY in tax. Soon found out that tax wasn't for me, but that's a story for another day. But what I really learned from that experience specifically was that I wanted to work in the corporate sphere. I wanted to work in London. I'm not saying that, London's the elite place to work in the UK, but I think it is. Actually, arguable, because it is so expensive, and there are definitely other cities that provide the same that London does, perhaps. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm just very pro-London, if I'm honest with you. I love the city. and I just knew that I wanted to work there. And I also knew I wanted to work in the corporate sphere because it was just that feeling. I don't know what this feeling is, but when you are at work and you're dressed like really smart and you just got that corporate kind of vibe about you, I don't know what it is, but I feel very fulfilled from that. So I think I'm definitely going to remain a corporate kind of person throughout my life. So yeah, I knew I wanted to work in London. I knew I wanted the corporate lifestyle while I was at university, but I just wasn't sure about the law itself. But there were certain things that happened in my final year of university and afterwards that led me to really, confirm that I wanted this career. First of those being my work in pro bono. So I worked in a legal advice centre. I was providing advice to clients quite directly, literally having client interviews, having my own caseload, being responsible for my own tasks. And I think the legal advice centre actually really drew me back into considering law as a potential career option. Paralegaling also helped reaffirm my decision to have a career in law. Again, the responsibility that was provided, the ability to work in teams, mainly actually the responsibility and the challenge is what really pushed me towards applying for, training contracts and having that passion to apply. Because again, it was that feeling of fulfillment, and I think for me that's the main thing that I want in my career. Another thing that's developed my passion for this career is actually while I'm on my training contract itself, and I'm still reflective of being a lawyer, whether I'd want this in the future. I'm still reflective of that. Just because I've got a training contract doesn't necessarily mean, right, that's it, I have to stick to law for the rest of my life. I don't really think in that way. So hence why I'm always reflecting on whether this is the right career for me altogether. And during my training contract so far, it's confirmed that yes, I am doing the right thing. I am doing what's right for me. And one of the reasons for that is because of that business focus that you gain. In your training contract, you are encouraged to learn about how businesses operate. And also, again, during my training contract, the times where I have been challenged, the times where I've been out of my comfort zone, those are the times where I look back and I have the most fondness about. So that's another indicator to me that I'm in the right career. If you are someone perhaps who doesn't like that pressure, law, in my opinion, can be a little bit too much because there is a lot of stress involved in this career. I'm not going to downplay that. In my opinion, there is. And yeah, I think my ability to handle pressure, my ability to kind of keep a calm head, I'm not saying I'm the most collected person ever. Sometimes I do lose my crap, but I still manage to kind of think in a practical manner to try and solve situations. We are essentially problem solvers at the end of the day, so you've got to be able to think in that kind of mindset. Also, like I said, I'm quite fluid about where I go with my career, so the fact that having a career in law is quite versatile. There's a lot of people who used to practice law, but they've now gone into different things. They're business owners, they're politicians, they're, so many different fields that lawyers can go into. Now, I'm also going to end this video by talking about superficial reasons for pursuing this career as well. I may have hinted at it throughout this video. I'd be lying if I said that I was in law for everything else but the money, if that makes sense. Having a career in law means that you are, I guess, financially stable. It also comforts me to know that once I've qualified, unless there's some massive thing that happens in the world, like a massive recession, I don't think I'd ever be out of a job. That's one thing that does lead me towards this career. Another superficial reason for wanting a career in law is also the status. I like when people's eyebrows are raised, like, I'm a lawyer, I'm practicing law. The reason why I call this a superficial reason is, for example, I could easily lose that status or lose that title. So my reasoning for wanting to pursue this career shouldn't solely be focused on that. It's like saying, for example, if you're going to marry someone purely for their status, if they then lose that status, it basically means that you'd leave them, basically. Does that make sense? I don't know whether that makes sense, but basically that's not the only reason why I applied for a career in law, as you can see in this video, but it was one of the reasons, and I'm going to be honest about that. I'm not going to sit here and say I did law purely because I love the law. It's a job that pays well, and it gives you that status in society. It makes people believe that you're educated and you know what you're talking about. Sometimes, that's a little bit debatable with me, but it's okay. So yeah, that's how I'm going to end the video. It was really chatty, and thank you, Rach, again for the suggestion for the video. And hopefully this helps answer a few questions to you about why I pursued this career. I think for me personally, I've got more of a business interest than an interest in the law itself, like legislation, black letter law. But I've not let that prevent me from developing a passion in this career. Yeah, I think I just want to leave it like that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.